the pair of Game 2s and the Stanley Cup Playoffs, the outlook on both series, and where it goes from here for the Dallas Stars and for the New York Rangers after a pair of wins over the last couple days. Going to chat about the NBA and a couple lopsided series. Looks like the Celtics might get a week and a half off before the start of the NBA Finals after they have a big comeback win last night against the shorthanded Pacers. The Memorial Cup has also started, pair of games. We'll talk about that. Some UFC news towards the tail end of the show as well. And also the Blue Jays have lost 2 of 3 so far this weekend to the Detroit Tigers, which not optimal because they're not a great team, but I guess maybe they're telling management who they are as a team with their play as of late. So that's all forthcoming. But last night, Game 2 in Dallas, Dallas, Edmonton, Rangers, Panthers was Friday. Dallas, Edmonton, and it was kind of a tale of two games. Because if you watched the first period and then you went to bed or took a crap or went to the fridge or came back, you go, I think Edmonton's going to win this game. Dallas didn't have the puck the whole period. The only time Dallas seemed to generate offense was having a forward up high. Edmonton's defense would sag a bit and give up opportunities for being a tad too aggressive. Other than odd man rushes, Dallas did not have the puck. They did not create scoring opportunities. And it looked as if you had a really good team playing against a team that's a little old, a little slower, and can't hang. After about the 8-minute mark of the second period, Dallas was the better team, and they never took their foot off the gas, in my opinion. They played hard. They took it to the Edmonton Oilers. They limited scoring opportunities. They worked hard on the boards. And to me, the biggest adjustment that I saw in this game from Game 1 for Dallas was their ability to gap up their defense, clog up the neutral zone, and it really eliminated opportunities for the Edmonton Oilers to generate chances, to gain momentum, to have good feelings going into the offensive zone. It never happened for them. It was constantly, okay, we got here, the defense are up, we can't get by them, clog up neutral zone, back the other way. Until about the 4-minute mark, 4 minutes left in the third, Edmonton had one shot in the third period. They didn't have momentum. They didn't have the puck. They couldn't get through. There was a wall of soldiers, and Dallas to me said, we're comfortable playing this game up 2-1. We're comfortable with Ottinger, the way we defend and the way our team is built, to, if we get a good scoring opportunity, sure, we'll try to score a goal. But otherwise, if we keep the game 2-1 and we get an opportunity to get empty netter, which they did, we will do it, and we believe that we are good enough to win. Even though Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, and a plethora of other great scorers are on the opposite side. And that, to me, is confidence. That, to me, is knowing who you are and not being afraid to just go for it. And I credit Dallas for that. They just said, come through. We got a brick wall, and you're not going to penetrate it. You could have an AR-15. Your bullets are not getting through us. And to their credit, they didn't. They won. I think if you're Edmonton, you're happy with the split. You go to Dallas, you get one of two. Now, like Florida, you could look at it and go, we could have won twice on the road. All fair. But you get the split and you played pretty good hockey. Adjustments have to be made. And I think part of it for Edmonton is it's a clogged up neutral zone. We don't have the puck. Part of their failure last night is that McDavid and Draisaitl both kind of didn't have it. You could see it from the beginning. McDavid, in his first shift of the game, had the puck in his scoring opportunity, turned the puck over, then went down the ice and made a great defensive play because he knew he made a mistake. But he just didn't have that connection. The puck was bouncing on him. The same thing for Draisaitl. So I think if you're a member of the Oilers, you go, hey, we're going to have better puck luck in the next couple games. Last night just wasn't our night. But I also think you look at it and go, we need to be aware of what they're doing. Be aware of the breakouts. Have guys that we can pass the puck to so that the defense can't cover everybody. There's open ice somewhere. If we have to dump the puck to go put it into a corner, don't be afraid to do it. Because yes, you have Heiskanen, who I'm going to talk about here in a minute, and Tanev, who's great, and Petrovic, who's a huge defenseman, and Lindell, who plays for keeps. But McDavid's not afraid to go into a corner with anybody. Leon Draisaitl is a butcher. He'll go in there with anybody. He'll come out with the puck. Evander Kane, Zach Hyman. Edmonton's not some finesse team that's afraid to mix it up. Are they tougher than Dallas? That's an argument you can have. But I think they are put together well. They're not a one-trick pony. So if that has to happen, do it. Stuart Skinner was good last night. Second goal of the game, he doesn't have a chance. Hits Mason Marchment's stick, goes the complete opposite way of where the shot was going, and ultimately it becomes 2-1 Dallas, and they get an empty netter. I think what we've seen in this series, the refs are not calling much. And Knobloch kind of talked about this after the game. He didn't say anything where he'd get fined or he'd get looked at by the league. He was very calculated, intelligent, in my opinion, with the way he framed this issue, if you will. But Edmonton had 2 power plays last night. Dallas only had 1. But they're not calling much. And I think bitching at the refs or saying you're not calling enough is a crutch. Because if you're Edmonton, here's what you have to do. Play better 5-on-5. Score a 5-on-5 goal. Connor Brown cannot be the only guy scoring in a game because that's when you know you're in deep trouble because Connor Brown doesn't score. Scored 1 goal in the regular season the entire year. But 5-on-5, it doesn't have to be the power play. Your power play is phenomenal. People know it. It's well documented. But hey, you're not going to get 5 power plays every night. Dallas's penalty kill is pretty good as well. It doesn't automatically mean, oh, we're getting a power play goal here. Lock it in. Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. So, hoping for the refs to aid you, hoping for somebody to come down and give you a parachute, that's not a answer. I don't think this is a Chris Knobloch panic move where he doesn't believe in his team. I think he's hoping, he's trying to edge the refs for more calls back at home in Game 3. I can respect that. I can appreciate that. But at the end of the day, The postseason's not meant about power plays. And that's why it's better than the regular season, because in the regular season, you get slashed on the wrist and somebody falls down, you call it. And it could be a love tap, but they're going to call it because it's the rule of thumb, the same rules. And some people argue should be the same rules for the regular season as the playoffs. I disagree because it's a different season. It's a different style of game. The great teams score 5-on-5. The good ones can score in the power play. It's not easy to score, in particular with 4 teams left with as good as these 4 teams are. It's different than the NBA. In the NBA, we have 3 really good teams left, and we have a third one that's wounded and shouldn't be here because the Eastern Conference sucks. So the Celtics get to play a bunch of dumps on their way to probably winning, the Larry O'Brien trophy. Credit to them, not their fault. But these series are close. They're all 1-goal games. It's coming down to the wire. Find a way. So Edmonton will play better. They should be happy that they got the split. They won a double overtime game. They should be thrilled with the play of Stuart Skinner over the course of 2 games because he's been sublime. Need to play better 5-on-5. Need to get more bodies in front of Jake Ottinger. And I think they played 6 periods in this series. Sorry, 8 periods, double overtime. In 8 periods, I think Edmonton was better in probably 6 of them. So if you keep going with that pattern and you're better in more periods than your opponent, you're going to win. Keep playing your game. Keep being ready for opportunities, and they'll come to you. Now for Dallas. Player of the game last night for me, Chris Tanev. The guy is just a warrior. That's how I describe Chris Tanev. He's a gamer. He makes selfless plays. If you look last night, I'd say Chris Tanev is my player of the game. Doesn't even come up on the score sheet. Played 21 minutes, blocked 2 shots. But to me, he was on the ice a lot against the Oilers' best players. Was in the correct areas, stopped them in the neutral zone from creating opportunities. You could go Jamie Benn. He had 2 points. Jamie Benn's had a good start to the series. To me, Chris Tanev was so paramount to the win. Chris Tanev alongside Miro Heiskanen, who's not been on the ice for a goal since Game 2 of Round 2 against the Colorado Avalanche. That's a crazy stat. And in that time period, he's averaged over 26 minutes a game. He played 26-30 last night in the win for Dallas. But Tanev was the only addition Dallas made at the trade deadline. They looked around, said, we need to improve our D. We like our team. We like our mix of older veterans, younger talent. And we just need another defenseman. We love Miro. Esa Lindell's great. Thomas Harley. Love him. Tanev's just a reliable, effective defenseman who will get no credit because he's not getting points. And that's the only way you're a good defenseman nowadays. If you get points or you get 30 goals, and that's who you are. This guy helps you win. He'll do whatever it takes to win. He'll take a puck in the face. He'll take a hit to the head. Doesn't matter to him. It's all about the team. It's all about winning. He's 34 years old, and yet he's still playing at an extremely high level. You look at his age, you'd say he should have played more games. He hasn't even played 800 regular season games yet. It's because of the way he plays. The fact that he puts so much wear and tear on his body and that he's willing to go through these things to advance, that's Chris Tanev. To me, he's just a perfect fit. And he's always in position. Him and McDavid have been mixing it up a bit. He's a guy, clog up the neutral zone, no traction, be in good position at all times, and we're going to win the game. And they did. So I just like Tanev all playoffs, but in particular last night, I thought he was fantastic. But also credit to Jamie Benn. 2 points. Had an assist on one of Sagan's goals in game 1. Look, Jamie Benn scores last night. Marchment gets the game winner. And Essa Lindell gets the empty net goal. That's Dallas in a nutshell. As we stated, they really don't have a superstar. Wyatt Johnson, really good player. He had 2 assists last night. Much better game than he had in game 1, like we all knew he would. But it's a combination of really good players playing together. Putting the puzzle together and figuring out what each person needs to do to make this team successful. And they do it beautifully. Game 3 tomorrow night back in Edmonton. Adam Henrique took warm-ups but didn't play. Chris Knobloch doesn't like to change a winning lineup. I can appreciate that. I think Henrique will be back in the lineup for Game 3 because he's better than Carrick or he's better than Derek Ryan or some other guys that could come out of the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers. So Adam Henrique will be back in. Rupe Hintz could potentially return for Dallas, which is even a bigger addition because he's really important to their overall team success. Game 3 is pivotal. Again, I said this about Game 1. I think it's more important for Edmonton to have a lead in this series than the Dallas Stars because Dallas has come back. We've seen Dallas do it in series. Down 2-0 to Vegas. Playing a tough series against Colorado. They have home ice throughout the series, which is really important. Edmonton needs every advantage that they can get. That arena will be crazy tomorrow night. Edmonton during the McDavid era, this is the farthest that they've gone. They made a conference final 2 years ago, but they did not win a game in that conference final. They got swept by Colorado. So this is the farthest they've been, the most success that this group of players has ever had together. I think they're going to win. They're going to have an answer, look at tape, and McDavid and Draisaitl weren't good last night. Like I said, just puck luck, certain things. It wasn't happening for them. Based on history, Draisaitl's playoff career alone, it's not going to happen 2 games in a row. I expect both guys to be better, both guys to have an impact on the game. I have Edmonton winning at home tomorrow night to take a 2-1 series lead. But this series is close, and it can go either way. Because both teams are really good, and both teams want it, and they can play a similar style if you want to. As good as Dallas defends, Edmonton defended well last night. A weird goal goes in. They've given up 4 goals past Skinner in 2 games. It was an empty netter. 4 goals allowed in 2 games on Skinner. 4 goals on Ottinger in 2 games. It's as close as it gets. Nip and tuck. So while I think Edmonton wins tomorrow, I have a better outlook for Dallas moving forward than I do the New York Rangers. And I might eat those words because the New York Rangers also won Friday night in overtime with a beautiful game-winning goal from Barclay Goodrow, the Stanley Cup champion, after a beautiful feed from Vincent Trocheck, who had another phenomenal game on Friday. But the reason I say that, Game 1, the Panthers allowed 0 shots against for 15 minutes, meaning the Rangers had 0 shots on goal for 15 minutes of game time. That's extremely hard to do, incredibly impressive, and it tells you how good the Panthers are defensively. Game 2, the Rangers went over 10 minutes without a shot on goal. The Panthers have done this 10 times with at least 10 minutes of not allowing a shot in the playoffs so far. That's most in the NHL. The Rangers won the game, yes. But I think overall, the way the game's been played, I think the Panthers are happy with it. 2-1 hockey, you lost. Rangers are 3-0 in overtime in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Kudos to them. Hard to do, impressive. But if you're going to play a bunch of 2-1 hockey with a physical game, limit mistakes, neutral zone, tough checking, I'm taking the Panthers to win that game 9 out of 10 times. And Game 1 was awfully similar to Game 2, where there's no ice and tight checking, frustrating, and ultimately you go all the way down to the wire and the Rangers find a way to score a goal that I'm sure goalie Bob would like back, despite the fact that Goodrow had a great shot. Over the course of overtime, Florida was the better team. They didn't get the result, but I thought they were the better team. They were creating, winning board battles, frustrating the opponent. And to me, they just looked to be the better team. They did get outshot by the Rangers, but I don't really care about that because certain shots are crap. The Rangers also had 4 power plays where they went 0 for 4. So all of those things, the Rangers power play, dangerous. Hasn't been in this series, haven't scored a power play goal yet. Their power play has looked really quite anemic through 2 games. Now, I'm not advising the Panthers to keep taking penalties, but here's something I will say. That was a game where the Rangers could have blew them out early. The Rangers, Trocheck makes a really good play, scores an early goal. And it's a Rangers onslaught. They're taking it to them. They have the puck. The Garden is electric. And then Dmitry Kulikov flips the momentum of the game. You might not remember this, but Dmitry Kulikov, defenseman for the Panthers, who I thought was great. He's the third string guy, but he's one of the better D on Friday night. Another guy lower in the lineup, defenseman you might not have heard of, that played pretty well, but you won't hear about it. Played 17 minutes, 2 PIMs, shot on goal, hit, 3 blocks. That's pretty good. I liked this game anyway. Now, it wasn't Montour, who I thought was fantastic, or Ekblad, who played 30 minutes, but he was good. But he comes in, and he throws a massive hit on Alex Wenberg. And they called a penalty on it. It wasn't a penalty. Here's another thing. When you hit somebody in the shoulder and it looks like you hit them in the head, but you didn't hit them in the head, how is that a penalty? Growing up, while I've watched a game or two in my day, it's kind of if there's no sports, my life would have very little purpose. So I'm kind of an expert on this. And when you go in and hit somebody and you hit them here and you don't hit them here, that's normally what you call a check. But they gave Kulikov 2 minutes for boarding or interference or some other charging, which is another stupid call. Charging. Ugh. But they gave him something, and the Panthers killed it off. When they killed it off, they had momentum. The Rangers were a bit shooketh. Even though Matt Rempe's in the lineup, and he had an impact early on, throwing hits, creating havoc, getting the Garden going. They love him in there, their Empire State Building. But that play from Kulikov, to me, shifted the game because I think it could have been a Rangers blowout win. Could have just been, hey, we're President's Trophy winners. We're at home. We're one of the best home teams in the league. We're going to go out here. We got our players, Panarin, Trocheck, all our boys. But no, I think after that play, the game pivoted. And the Panthers were like, hey, we were asleep for the first 10 minutes. Kulikov woke us up trying to decapitate Wenberg. Let's go out here and make it happen. And they did. Not long after, Carter Verhaeghe scores a goal to tie the game. Then the Rangers go 10 minutes without a shot. Until overtime when they made it happen. But the reason I have more, I would say, good feelings for the home team, if I'm comparing the two. I think Dallas should have a better outlook because they're playing the style they want to play. And they're finding a way to win. Despite the fact that Edmonton could play that game with them, Dallas should go, hey, we're better than Edmonton. We can beat them at this. And they're comfortable with that. And if you lose throwing your fastball, you'll lose throwing your fastball. Throw your best pitch. I look at the Rangers. They want to play up-tempo. They want to play fast-paced. They do not want to play in the corners. They do not want to play in the margins because Zibanejad, Panarin, Wenberg, number of others don't want to play that game. Because then Fox, they don't want to go in the corners. They don't want to get hit every play. The Panthers are bigger, stronger, nastier than New York. New York's fast. New York's Secretariat. They can win a lot of different races. But if you got another horse next to you and he's hooked on roids and he's juiced out, I think that horse is going to be a little afraid to go, hey, can I line up next to the other guy down there? You look at Florida. They got a lot of Luosterainen, big man, Stenlin, Kachuk, Bennett, Reinhart, Barkov, Kulikov. Ekblad's a big man. They're just a big, physical team that would love to play a 2-1 hockey game with you every night. They'd say, okay, we lost in game 2. We lost 2-1. Bully for you. Let's do it 5 more times, and let's see how many times you win that game. So I think Florida they have an arrogance about them that I appreciate. They know how good they are at playing that game. Paul Maurice knows how good they are at playing that game. We are going to blend you into oblivion. We believe that we're stronger, we're faster, and we're just better than you at this. So if you want to play that game with us, bring it, but beware, because we like our chances. So if the Rangers could play the way that first 10 minutes went in game 2 for the rest of the series, they win the series. Because if they're going chance for chance, I'll take the Rangers. They just have more dynamic players. But I don't think that that's the way the series is going to go. I think you see all Florida has to do. Think about game one as well. There was a couple of keystone moments. Remember that Kachuk hit on Trocheck? Same kind of play, almost in the same exact location that Kulikov hit Wenberg. After that play, the Rangers weren't the same. And Trocheck's not one of those guys afraid to go into a corner. He's not Panarin where, you like to go the whole game knowing you don't need a shower after it's over. But that's the mentality. I'm not calling the Rangers soft, but I'm not calling them as hard as the Florida Panthers. They don't want that smoke night in, night out because they can't handle it. Now, Trocheck is a catalyst. If the Rangers were to win the Cup after this point, it would either be Shesterkin or Trocheck who would win the Conn Smythe. Because both have been paramount to their success. To me, Trocheck's been the team's best forward. The most consistent, the most active, always involved in plays. The dude's just a gamer. So, I think if you're New York, if you're Peter Laviolette, you need to look around and go, hey, Panarin. Hey, Mika. Adam Fox, I think, has gone 6-7 games without a point. We need some of you guys to come out here and play better. Trocheck can't do it all. He's doing it every night for us. We need you guys to step up, have an impact. We've scored 2 goals in 2 games. That's not going to cut it. K'Andre Miller, jump into plays. That's how we're going to win. By creating scoring chances for ourselves. And if we have to play a tight checking game, if we can use our defense, if we can make them more active, push the play, we're in good shape. So, the Rangers are not done. They have ways that they can win, as I just outlined. But I think there's less ways for them to win, is what I'm saying. I have a better feeling about Dallas winning their series than I do about the Rangers beating Florida. Although I did pick Edmonton and Florida to win their series, so maybe that's my own ego coming in. But watching the games, that's what I've seen so far. This afternoon in Florida, it's a 4 o'clock puck drop today, if you didn't know. ABC, ESPN likes to have footage in the afternoon on the weekends. I'm all for it. I like a 4 o'clock puck drop, sunrise. Get to have that, then you can watch the NBA, Timberwolves, Mavericks tonight. So that's good. I got the Florida Panthers winning this afternoon. I think it'll be another close game, though. Like I said, these 4 teams are so close. And they're all tight games. The goalies are all really good. Shesterkin is the difference maker for the Rangers. He could make something happen. But I'm going with Florida to win this afternoon. That Kachuk for Hagee Lundell line, to me, has been the best line for the Panthers over 2 games. I look at Sam Reinhart dating back to the Boston Bruins series. He's gotten so many good looks. They're just not going in. I think they will. I think he gets a goal at least today. Just the way he's been playing, he's all around the puck, creating opportunities. But I got the Panthers today, 3-2 victory, another close game. But I expect another fun one down in Florida. Other NHL news, we talked about this on Friday briefly, but Donnie Waddell, the GM of the Hurricanes, who was there for 10 years, resigned from the position. Now, did he resign? Was he fired? That's always an interesting dilemma. What we do know is that Elliot Friedman, Pierre LeBrun have reported that it sounds like he's become the president of hockey operations for the Columbus Blue Jackets as soon as Tuesday, because Tuesday, it's a long weekend in the United States. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. So it could happen sooner rather than later. He'd start working with John Davidson and the people there to build a strong team. I don't know what that means for Ken Holland. Ken Holland might just retire after this season with the Edmonton Oilers because he's on the last year of his deal. But Don Waddell leaves Carolina. They're now searching for a new general manager. Be nice to hire one quickly because they have a lot of important decisions to make coming up. Goaltending. What do you do with Chatfield, with Pesci? They need to have answers on their players. But Don Waddell looking like he's leaving Carolina, going to Columbus, staying in division. So interesting for sure on that front. Also, the Winnipeg Jets have officially promoted Scott Arniel as the team's next head coach. He's a longtime assistant, worked on Rick Bowness's staff, so he's familiar with the players. First-time head coach. Mike Commodore absolutely ripped him on Twitter, but Mike Commodore does that to a lot of coaches. But not surprising. I think this is a safe approach. Winnipeg's an organization that doesn't like to spend a whole lot of money. So you don't have to do that with Scott Arniel. You have a good team already. You know that. So I think it's a good job for Scott Arniel to take. As I said, there's not a whole lot of great options unless you're thinking outside the box and something happens. A lot of retreads, a lot of guys that have coached a long time and have never won a Stanley Cup or haven't had that much success. Seattle, San Jose, still jobs that need to be filled. I don't think that Seattle job's that horrible position. I'm surprised that it hasn't been filled yet. Surprised me that they fired Dave Haxtell as quickly as they have and not named somebody. It's almost June, less than a week away from it being June on the calendar. But I saw that San Jose is interviewing Marco Sturm, the former NHLer. San Jose, I think, will likely hire a first-time head coach. They'll hire a guy that's kind of a lamb to a slaughter that coach knows going in you don't have a good team. You're going to have the first overall pick, which is nice, in Macklin Celebrini, but the players around him aren't exactly Wayne Gretzky. So it's a difficult position because you're not going to win. You're not told you're supposed to win. It's not a great job. Seattle, though, they want to be competitive. They've stated this. They missed the playoffs, but they were in the second round last year. The standard is to be a playoff team. The standard is to be competitive. They had a lot of injuries last year. They have uncertainty in goal. They make a couple moves. I think they're right back in the mix. We'll see. In a weaker Western Conference. Also, Manny Malhotra has left the Toronto Maple Leafs organization after 4 years to become the head coach of the Abbotsford Canucks in the American Hockey League. Manny Malhotra, a longtime Vancouver Canuck, played the majority of his career there. Ran special teams in Toronto, was on the bench, but then got moved off the bench to sitting upstairs, eye in the sky type view. So, a change for the league. I think that's happening anyway. I think a lot of these guys are going to be looking for other opportunities so that they don't have to say that they were fired. Mark Savard should be hired by the Leafs in the coming days to work on Craig Berube's staff. Whether they keep Guy Boucher remains to be seen. I have a hard time seeing that with the way that power play went down the stretch. It went from, hey, my comparison is we got, it's a great restaurant. We're going to a great steak spot. And then, we're the keg. Our power play is the keg. It went from the keg to McDonald's. And no shade on shade on McDonald's. I don't like McDonald's, but that was really the pivot. It wasn't good. It was horrible. Nobody wanted it. It was a product that stunk. And for a team that wants to be competitive, I don't think you can bring that back. Coaches are easier to replace than players. So, in particular with a new coach and a new staff, he'll likely be moved out. But Manny Malhotra becomes the head coach with the Abbotsford Canucks, leaving the Toronto Maple Leaf organization after 4 years. World Hockey Championships. Prior to recording here this morning, the Team Canada lost a heartbreaker yesterday to Switzerland. 3-2 in the gimmick, following a 2-0 early. Switzerland had a 2-0 early lead, controlled the game, couple goals on the power play. Canada fights back. Tavares scores the tying goal late. Overtime period close, you get to the gimmick. And Leonardo Giannoni, the goaltender for Switzerland, was game, made a big save on Dylan Cousins late. And ultimately, Canada loses. And then Canada loses again this morning to Sweden. 2-1 lead in the third. Erik Karlsson ties it up. Carl Grundstrom, game winner. They add an empty net. So Canada leaves the World Hockey Championships without a medal for the first time in the last 5 years. So that's a big shakeup. The host Czechs will play Switzerland today. That crowd's fantastic in Prague. They love their hockey. They love their Czechs. Necas coming over, Pasternak coming over, big helps, Pavel Zacha. Switzerland's a good team. I'm going to go with Czechia to win on home ice today. I just think they have the momentum. They're playing good hockey. Their goaltending has been superb. Should be a close game, but that's some good hockey today with the afternoon, Game 3, Rangers-Panthers, and the World Hockey Championships. That puck drop is at 3 o'clock between Switzerland and Czechia. Memorial Cup. Watched some yesterday. The London Knights crush the Drummondville Voltigeurs. And what you got to feel good about London is Easton Cowan, the team's best player, really had no impact on the game, getting on the score sheet. And yet, it was a complete drubbing, a 4-0 win. And I came in saying, we want to see certain players play. I wanted to see Dickinson, projected 5th overall pick in a month away from now, the NHL draft. I thought he was great. Really impressive moving the puck. He can shield defenders from getting to high danger scoring areas. Just got a really good high hockey IQ. Good shot. I thought he was one of London's best players yesterday, personally. He just was in good positions. Smart player. And they get a shutout. Ruslan Gazavov scored twice. But, if you look at London's dominance, they've lost twice in the last 2 months and change. They only lost 2 games over the course of the entire playoffs, and those 2 losses were to the Saginaw Spirit in the conference finals, who they'll play on Wednesday. So this team's as good as it gets. For Drummondville, they never found their footing. They never really had that momentum about them. They got a penalty early. They couldn't kill off the penalty. London scores on the power play. And from then on, they were chasing the game. And I think London's faster. London's got more ways that they can beat you. More options. Yesterday, Simpson was better than Riley Mercer in between the pipes. And I think for Drummondville, it's tough because you play an afternoon game, you lose, and then tonight you play Saginaw, who, and this is always the weird thing about this tournament, what's the host going to do? Saginaw made the conference final, but they haven't played in nearly a month. And they have a 4-0 lead at one point on Friday night against the Moose Jaw Warriors. Outshot them 17-4 in the first period, all over them. Misa, the 17-year-old, he looked great, playing really good hockey. But then comes back, Moose Jaw says, hey, we're not dead yet. We're going to keep playing. They make it 4-1, 4-2, 4-3. All of a sudden, it's 5-3. Then they score 5-4. They didn't give up. Braden Yeager, the Pittsburgh pick, he was great. He had some really good moments where he kept them in the game, scored, had an impact. But you look at it, Owen Beck had a couple points. Alec Christopoulos, the overager. Michael Misa. Zane Pekaresh had a goal and 2 assists. So it's frantic. It's junior hockey. I predicted a Moose Jaw London final. A lot more difficult for Moose Jaw now. They play London tomorrow. They've already lost to the host. And to me, I think Saginaw will win tonight against Drummondville. I think London will beat Moose Jaw tomorrow. So that means Saginaw, London will play Wednesday night. And the winner automatically advances to the final. Moose Jaw will play Drummondville on Tuesday. The winner of that game will get a semifinal opportunity against the loser of Saginaw and London. Moose Jaw can still do it. I don't know if they'll win a game until then. But they have the players. They came out flat. They weren't ready for the game. I'm curious to see what Drummondville has in the tank this afternoon, what kind of response they have, because they just really weren't into it yesterday. But the host is always the X factor. I think back 2013, the Shawinigan Cataracts, I think they're out in the first round. And they were the host, and they ultimately won the Memorial Cup. St. John, a number of years ago, host, winning the Memorial Cup after being out early in the playoffs. Sometimes you can put it together for a week. That's all you need to, in this instance, that's all you need to put it together for. Have a really good week of play, and you can win. And they were ready to go on Friday. They're the host, so they have the best schedule in the tournament. They play London last, which I think is an advantage because London's the toughest opponent, but they know that they can beat them. They beat them twice in the playoffs. But some impressive play from some players. Some guys looking to improve their draft stock in a little over a month. Keep people on their radar on draft boards. But you got Drummondville, Saginaw this evening. on TSN. Really nice barn, too. I'd never really seen anybody play there. The fans are into it, they're invested. First time the Memorial Cup's ever been hosted outside of Canada. Not many U.S. teams in the QMJHL or in the CHL. But there's Portland, there's Saginaw. Used to be the Lewiston Maniacs in the Q until they were moved. But fun tournament so far. Third game of the tournament tonight. Drummondville and the host Saginaw. Let's talk UFC for a minute. If you didn't know, Conor McGregor is returning to the octagon on June 29th. Be the first time he's fighting in over 2 years. Conor McGregor's not won a fight since 2020 when he beat Donald Cowboy Cerrone. But he did the Ultimate Fighter. They were hemming and hawing for years to get this fight booked. He's healed up. He filmed Roadhouse. And now we're a little over a month away from this happening. McGregor, Chandler headlining 5 rounds, UFC 303. Well, Conor fight means big promotion, means big things. A little over a week from now, on June 3rd, Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will be in Dublin, Ireland, hosting a press conference to promote this fight. The UFC doesn't do this often. They do it the week of the fight, but they do it in the location. If the fight's in Vegas, they'll do it in Vegas. If it's in Newark, New Jersey, like this coming weekend for UFC 302, they'll do it in Jersey. But because it's Conor McGregor, because that it's a huge event, reportedly a $20 million gate already for this event, they're doing it in Dublin, where he's from. I'm sure they'll be promoting his Irish stout beer, things of that nature. But this is smart. Conor McGregor is not just a big name in MMA. He's one of the big names in the world. You cannot be a fan of MMA and you know who Conor McGregor is. He has that pull. He has that kind of notoriety about him. And I think this is smart. I think it's a massive fight. It's a big event. And not to mention, Dana White announces this on Friday on Twitter. And then he also announces that fellow Irish fighter, 170-pound Ian Machado Gary, undefeated, will take on Michael Venom Page at the same event, UFC 303, on June 29th. Ian Gary's been looking for a fight. He wanted to fight Colby Covington. I think Colby Covington ran from this fight. And I don't blame him because he wouldn't have won this fight. Reportedly, Ian Gary had been offered a number of guys. He said yes to all of them. That includes Joaquin Buckley, who fought earlier this month, UFC St. Louis, and got a win. He wanted somebody. He wanted to be on this Conor card. Again, he's a fellow Irish guy, undefeated. He's having a similar rise to stardom as Conor McGregor did to start his UFC career. He gets Michael Venom Page, who made his UFC debut back in April at UFC 299. He defeated Kevin Holland. Now, Venom Page is not a youngster. He's 35. Fought in Bellator for a long time. Was a champion. One of the most unique, stylistic fighters you'll ever see. So, I think this is a fascinating fight. I love it. Ian brings attention. Ian's a great fighter. So's MVP. If I'm the UFC, I understand why you booked this, but I also think you could have waited for this fight. Because I like to see MVP win a couple fights. Maybe he fights Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, beats him, then you get these two, or potentially these two could be fighting for a title down the line. But it's box office. I'm thrilled for it. You add this to UFC 303, where you look up for this event. You got Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler main event. You have Jamal Hill, former light heavyweight champion, fighting Carlos Ulberg. You got Ian Gary and MVP. Former bantamweight contender Mayra Bueno Silva, Macy Chiasson, who's on a tear. Joe Pyfer, Marc-Andre Barriault, the power bar from Canada. You get Cub Swanson, Andre Fili, fun fight. Peyton Talbot, Yanis Jamori, fun fight. A lot of Canadians on this. 3 Canadians on 303. So big night for Canada. But I love the promotion. I love this fight. 2 extremely crafty guys that have different ways that they can beat you. I think they have mutual respect for one another. One's from Dublin, one's from London. And MVP's been doing this a long time. He's fought some really good dudes. He dominated Kevin Holland. Pardon me, he's 37 now. Ian Gary's 26. So a big age difference. But MVP's 22-2 in his pro career. Beat Kevin Holland. His only losses were to Logan Storley and Douglas Lima. He's beaten good dudes in Bellator. Some solid fighters, don't get me wrong. But to me, this is the toughest fight of his career because Ian Gary is just, he's a problem. He's called the future, but really he's the present because he's 14-0. Beat Jeff Neal back in February. Beat Neil Magny in August. Beat Daniel Rodriguez last May. He fights 2 to 3 times a year. He's one of the most active guys. He's consistently in the cage, putting on good shows. People hate him, which is great because he can play the heel. And MVP, I think, is well liked, so that works for this. So, interesting for sure. Love the fight. Glad they're doing it. Should be fun. Also announced August 3rd in Abu Dhabi. This is another big event. The UFC is going to Saudi Arabia next month, a week before the Conor McGregor card, headlined by Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker, and Khamzat Chimaev. And that's a great main event, and they got a good card going over there. But they want August's card going over there to be better, which good on them. But you got Whittaker, Chimaev, Pavlovich, Volkov, Kelvin Gastelum, Dan Rodriguez, Johnny Walker, Volkan Ozdemir, Nicholas Dalby and Renat Fakhraminov. Love that fight. Great one. Jared Gordon, Nasrat Hasparat, Free Basharat Montel Jackson. So you got some good fights. But in August, they said they want a better card. Turkish Al Sheikh, His Excellency, who puts these cards together. Well, one fight announced already alongside the main event, which will be between Corey Sandhagen and Usman Nurmagomedov in the bantamweight division. Another bantamweight fight announced. Former title challenger in April, Marlon Chito Vera, will go toe-to-toe with Davison Figueiredo, former flyweight champion, undefeated so far in the bantamweight division in Abu Dhabi. Fun fight. Two good boxers, two guys that have different styles. Cheeto, who's never been knocked out in his career. Figueiredo, who's tough as nails. I think these two will be comfortable boxing with one another. Figueiredo may try to get Cheeto to the ground. But a good addition. You get another I like when they put cards together and you have multiple fights in the same division because it means something. It means something more. There's added motivation to perform well. You could potentially be in the title mix if you go well here. So 2 bantamweight fights for August 3rd. You also have on Twitter Petr Yan and Henry Cejudo going at one another, saying we should fight each other moving forward here. Love to see that too. Former past champions. Petr Yan with a big win over Song Yadong back in April. So we'll see, but the bantamweight division's heating up. You also have Sean O'Malley likely returning towards the end of summer against Merab Davishvili at that big card at the Sphere. So I love the bantamweight division. There's so many good guys. The most loaded division in MMA. That and welterweight for me. There's a lot of good contenders. But you get that, but also this upcoming week, UFC 302, Newark, New Jersey. Can Dustin Poirier finally become undisputed champion of the world at lightweight? Has had opportunities in his past. You look back, 2021, lost to Charles Oliveira, getting submitted. He's gone through. He lost to Gaethje, beat Chandler. Lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov back in 2019. So after all those opportunities, great fights, a great career, he gets Khabib's disciple, Islam, next Saturday night. Islam, 25-1, has gone through a bunch of wins over Alex Volkanovski, beat Charles Oliveira. Dustin says this could be his last fight. This is his 39th pro fight, coming off a victory over Benoit Saint Denis at UFC 299 with a nasty KO. Can he finally become undisputed champion? The co-main event, Sean Strickland, former middleweight champion of the world, against Paulo Costa. That's a tough night at the office for both guys. Costa's a big puncher, can mix it up with anybody. Strickland is as calculated as anybody. You got Kevin Holland, Michael Jacek, Jailton Almeida, and Alexander Romanov in the heavyweight division. 2 guys trying to prove that they can hang with the best of the best. So big stakes there. Randy Rude Boy Brown from the area, from Brooklyn, fighting close to home, trying to get ranked inside the welterweight division. Grant Dawson, Joe Selecki, Nico Price, Alex Morono, 2 veterans of the sport. Roman Coppola back in action. Love him. Bezel Hafez. So pretty solid card in Newark. Good talent, great main event, great co-main event. So all MMA's, it's getting bigger by the day. So fun stuff for sure. NBA to wrap up the show. There's not much to say about the Celtics series. I mean, that series is over. Pacers without Halliburton. Didn't play last night, and they should have won the game, but they blew it like they blew game 1. They out-rebounded the Celtics. They were smarter than the Celtics when it comes to not shooting so many threes. They knew their identity. We're going to get to the paint because the Celtics have a size problem. no Porzingis, so we can do it where we want. If you look at the Pacers last night, Siakam down third and fourth quarter, he sucked, but the first two he was great. Miles Turner, 9 for 16, 22, 10 boards. He was good. Nembhard had a career-high 32 last night, 12 for 21 shooting. TJ McConnell, my main man, 23, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 10 for 17 from the field, 2 for 2 from the free-throw line. They were horrible from three. They shot 22%, but they didn't shoot that many of them because they said, we can get to the paint, we can make things happen. Late in the game, they turn the ball over. They had 4 more turnovers than the Celtics. Jason Tatum, 36, 10, and 8. He was great, although he sucked from the free-throw line. Jaylen Brown had a good fourth quarter. Horford made some big shots when he had to. But you look around and you go, Derek White's had a horrible series, if we put it into perspective. He's been good defensively, but his shooting has been horrid. Jrue Holiday had an off night. The Celtics bench is a wasteland. They can't get anything from anybody off that bench. Hauser, 13 minutes, 0 points, 1 rebound. Tillman, 12 points, 2 points, 1 rebound, and 2 fouls. Great. Brissett, 8 minutes, 2 fouls. Pritchard, 2 points in 14 minutes. Their bench give them nothing. But Tatum was big down the stretch. Horford made some shots. He was 7 for 12 from three-point range, which is incredible. They get him those corner threes. He knocks them down. Celtics weren't great from three. They shot 33%, but they took advantage of opportunities. They drove to the lane late. And the Pacers they aren't on their level, even without Porzingis. Even though they should have won game 1, they easily could have won last night. They could have a 2-1 series lead on the Celtics, even with a wounded team. But they're just not those guys. They don't have the nucleus. They don't have the confidence. They're stupid late in games. They make dumb decisions. Game 4 is tomorrow. I think the series is over. The NBA Finals is scheduled to start on June 6th, which is a week from Thursday. That series could be over tomorrow. So the Celtics might have another long break waiting to see who they'll play in the Western Conference. Now, in the Western Conference, it's been a close series. Well, it's been a couple of close games, but Dallas has won them both. Dallas wins both games in Minnesota. Go on the road, take 2. Luka Doncic has been the best player of the conference finals, any of the 4 teams. A triple-double on Friday. And he just looks like he's on another level. On Friday, 32, 10, and 13. 10 for 23, 7 for 7 from the free throw line. 4 turnovers. I don't even care. He's got the ball so much, played 41 minutes. Kyrie didn't have a great game, but he was big in the fourth quarter, made a couple big shots, 20 points. Derek Lively's so efficient, he plays great defense. 14 points, 9 rebounds in 26 minutes, 6 for 6 from the field, 2 for 2 from the line. You love it. That's what you want. Gafford does his job, makes shots, does what he has to do. But Luka was the man. They won that game because of Luka. Luka made some big plays defensively. And you look at Minnesota. Anthony Edwards, 5 for 17, junk. Every time he's shooting a shot, he's shooting way too many threes. They're all short. He needs to get to the lane. If you are tired, don't settle for long shots because you aren't making them. McDaniels had 2 points after having 30 in game 1. Woof. Karl-Anthony Towns, 4 for 16. This team can't shoot. They are so close to winning both games. If they shoot even marginally better, they win. But they can't. They're not doing it. Naz Reid, 8 for 13, 23 points off the bench. That was what they had. That was their game. I don't think this series is over because the Minnesota Timberwolves could find their shot and make it interesting. Because the games have been so close. Now, it's hard to lose both games at home, then go into Dallas and see yourself still in it. But I do. I don't think it's over by any means. You can get Minnesota plus 2.5 tonight. Now, I do think Dallas is going to win the series, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as the Celtics. Actually, I'm going to predict right now. I think the Timberwolves win tonight, make it 2-1. Maybe because I just want it to keep going. I think the series is really fun. Great basketball, some great players, but you need to see Minnesota's top guys play like Luka and Kyrie have for the Dallas Mavericks. And I'll even say this, I think the Celtics want the Timberwolves. They don't want the Mavericks. Mavericks play really good defense, and they have guys that can knock down shots. Minnesota's getting one of those too, and it's the defense, not the offense right now. Minnesota's bench is better than Dallas overall, but Lively is fantastic. And when's Porzingis coming back? I don't know. It's been out for a while, hasn't played since round 1. So his injury history, he could be out a long time. I think the Timberwolves, we saw, they won both games in Denver in round 2. They won a game 7 in Denver. They are capable of going into Dallas and getting a win. I think we get another close game. They've been awesome this series. Watching some great players, but I expect Ant, he's got to be aware. Okay, I can't just keep settling for these long jumpers or long threes because guess what? They're not going in. I have to be smarter than that. I think they will. And also, don't put Rudy Gobert on Luka Doncic late in the game. That's just a thought process for me. Basketball 101. But Luka's been great. Tuesday, we're going to react to Rangers, Panthers, Stars, Oilers game 2, pair of game 3s. We'll also get into the NBA, talk about some baseball from this weekend and the games on Memorial Day, any other news that comes up between now and then. But thank you all for hanging out this late morning, early afternoon. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the game this afternoon. Till next time, take care. I'm Noah Warren. This is To The Point.